language. We begin right away with our major stories. Administrative representatives of state universities in Cameroon have started attending a two-day workshop on how to maintain good governance and better manage public funds in state universities, an innovation put in place to guide representative authorities and partners of higher education for better implementation. The semi-finals of the 2021 African Cup of Nations begins this evening with Senegal taking on Burkina Faso at the Fandena Stadium at exactly 8 p.m. Supporters and fans have already mobilized to support their teams in this evening encounter. Today is being observed as World Day Consecrated Life, an act of profession of faith to be committed totally to the service of God, an utmost practice by Catholic Church faithfuls who are called upon to live a more exact way, just like Jesus Christ. In this newscast, we will be looking on the positive and negative ways that the society look at the act of consecration. We have details in a moment. Thanks for joining us. If you are just tuning in, this is the 6 p.m. Prime News on Camdis Television. A project to create an investment development bank that will help grant long-term loans to young Cameroonians have been presented to parliamentarians, a network for decentralization and cross-border cooperation. This was being presented by a Cameroonian-born lady who is called Jocelyn Assam, a financial analyst who lives in London. We have details with Bertrand Tita.
On Monday, February 1, 2022, members of the Network of Parliamentarians for the Diasporal, Decentralized and Cross-Border Cooperation, REPCOT, received in audience Madame Jocelyn Esame Epos Ngasa, a chartered financial analyst from London. Welcoming the guests, the REPCOT President, Honorable Louis Henry Ngapcha, said the main objectives of REPCOT are to identify and accompany Cameroonians of the diaspora who are willing to invest in Cameroon. He noted that Cameroon ambassadors abroad are not only those appointed by presidential decree, but any Cameroonian who is resident abroad.
It's important to recognize and valorize Cameroonians abroad to encourage them to serve the country. As I said, Cameroonians are the ambassadors of the country. The ambassadors are not only the ones appointed by the head of state, but everyone out of the country is an ambassador.
The high-profile visitor of REPCOT, who was born and raised in Cameroon, came to present a three-phased ongoing project which consists of a social project for young people to help them to get structured and find their passion so as to make money from it. The second aspect she made mention consists of working with rural women who are considered as the pillars of their villages. She said her aim is to build a proper way of working and help them transform from their farm produce in order to make more money. The third aspect, which is the main reason she met with members of REPCOT, is to create an investment bank for Cameroon. She underscored that she has partners in London who are convinced to come and have a look at the project of young people for a long-term assistance.
I see how to help them transform, but once it is transformed, once we have the products, it is to accompany them in marketing. Internal marketing in Cameroon and also marketing abroad. The diaspora is there and we sometimes have emotional purchases. It is to say that is what connects us to our country. It's to touch the diaspora by saying there are products that are made in Cameroon.
In the course of the meeting, Senator Odeb Mofa, Vice President of REPCOT, said regarding the import constitution on the law of finance, the policy that has been put in 2022 financial budget needs investors. He saluted the idea proposed by their guest.
Ahead of activities to commemorate the 37th edition of the Women's Day celebration that will be taking place in Cameroon on the 8th of March, the Minister of Women and Empowerment and the Family, Professor Marie-Therese Abena Ondwa, has this Wednesday, February 2nd, chaired a preparatory meeting extended to the partners of her ministerial department for the good performance ahead of 8th March celebration. The event is being prepared in Yaoundé under the theme Equality Between Women and Men Today for a Sustainable Tomorrow. It is a theme that stems from the need to reduce all discrimination against women and girls, to strengthen measures aimed at gender equality and the empowerment of women. The meeting, which took place at the esplanade of the annex building of the ministry, has as objective to prepare against the celebration of the 37th edition of the International Women's Day. Let's now take a listen to the Minister, Marie-Therese Abena Ondwa, in this excerpt.
Actually, the UN has a general theme that concerns the whole world, and each country can adapt it. And we know the many challenges we are facing with the problem of inequality between men and women. Much has been done, but much still remains to be done. And we have to continue to see that, to try to see that we reach that equality that will help us solve many problems. Coronavirus is still with us, and we have to continue to observe the prescription by the head of state. Vaccination is there, testing is there. We have to respect social distancing. We have to wear our face mask, we have to wear our hands. And in many of the activities of the partners, you heard about the fabrication of hydroalcoholic gel, soap, and what have you. So we have to continue the fight because it is not yet finished. And you know that to have access to the stadium, you must be vaccinated and you must have a negative COVID-19 test. So we have to continue. COVID-19 has not yet been won. It is still with us, and we have to continue the fight, and women have an important role to play. A good Cameroonian, a good man who understands the future of the world, knows that the world cannot advance if men and women do not participate. Women cannot move along if they don't have men with them, and men cannot move along if they don't have women. So it is extremely important. And the campaign He for She was launched a few years back. And we have to continue to know that each one, man and woman, we have to work together. We have to be together. There should be no exclusion. So men will not be frustrated. Instead, a reasonable, a realistic man knows that a woman has a lot to contribute for the development of all the nation and the entire world.
A workshop has been held in Mongo, in Douala, that is in the littoral region of the country, to train teachers on how to create about 79 units to see how to fight violence, drug consumption, and unwanted pregnancies in school. This was a way to how to make sure to sensitize the youth, especially young girls, as we prepare to celebrate the 8th March celebration of Women's Day. We have more details with Ruth Fonyo.
Le calme semble revenu en Guinée-Bissau. Après la tentative de coup d'État, le président Umaro Sissoko Embalo s'est exprimé et a rapporté que la situation était sous contrôle. Après une dizaine de tentatives de coup d'État depuis son indépendance, la Guinée-Bissau a de nouveau connu mardi 1er février une nouvelle tentative. Le chef de l'État a assuré mardi soir que la situation était désormais sous contrôle, mais le déroulé précis des événements demeure incertain, tout comme l'identité des hommes qui ont tenté de renverser Umaro Sissoko Embalo. Au Burkina Faso, la junte au pouvoir a reçu hier des ex-majorités, ex-opposition, ex-partis non affiliés, toutes les grandes figures des principaux partis politiques burkinabés à Kosiam, au palais.
We now talk a religion where living together as in a consecrated life is a practice that especially the Catholic faithfuls keep practicing, just a way to see how to move the steps of Jesus Christ. It is a day that is being celebrated today. Sharadinasi have details in the following report.
Consecrated life, also known as religious life, is a lifestyle practice in churches, especially the Catholic Church, lived by those faithfuls who are called to follow Jesus Christ in a more exact way. We are in a world governed by laws, and taking a decision in living in a public religious vows, such as becoming Reverend Father or Reverend Sister, many people regard this vocation in a positive and negative way.
Reverend sisters, I think if they have chosen to be only, it may be by vocation. And if we have chosen where we know we are going to, I assume, but choosing not to give birth, what has really motivated them? Is it true that in the society people think that sisters have turned away from their first mission, that is worshiping God? And I think that if one of my sisters or my daughters decide to go in as a sister someday, I will be the first to deny.
Je serai le premier à décourager.
According to some people, getting into such a vocation is a good thing, though most of these sisters have deviated from the path in which they were called to follow.
On ne peut pas déjà jeter l'anathème sur les sœurs.
Sisters are no longer playing their role. Seeing that I went to a Catholic school where sisters were taking care of us as children, but today is no longer the same thing, because maybe it has become a problem of culture, problem of money.
Nevertheless, celebrating the 2nd of February as the World Day of Consecrated Life is a way to recall these consecrated persons to go back to their vocational call, to rediscover the enthusiasm and the joy of feeling and being part of a project of love.
We now talk sports, where the semi-final matches of the African Cup of Nations 2021 will begin this evening at the Japoma at the Fandena Stadium at 8 p.m. between Senegal and Burkina Faso. And tomorrow, Cameroon will be taking on the Pharaohs of Egypt at the Olembe Port Biya Stadium here in Yaoundé. It is important to note that the indomitable Lions of Cameroon are very much prepared, and in the following report, Bertrand takes us in the line of stories, the different matches between Cameroon and the Pharaohs of Egypt. In this report, let's listen.
At least from February 23, 1983 to February 5, 2017, Cameroon has clashed 27 times with the Pharaohs of Egypt, featuring in international friendlies, group stage of the Africa Cup of Nations, continental football tournaments and FIFA World Cup qualifiers. The indomitable Lions of Cameroon have clashed 4 times with the Pharaohs of Egypt in Africa Cup of Nations finals, with Egypt latching the Lions' Crise in 1986, 2008 and 2010. The Lions had their revenge on the Pharaohs in 2017 during the finals of the Africa Cup of Nations in Libreville, Gabon. A dramatic second winning goal came from Vincent Aboubakar, who is currently topping the goal chart with 6 goals in the 2021 Africa Continental Football Festival. The indomitable Lions of Cameroon have won 6, drew 6, and lost 15 games to the Pharaohs of Egypt. Cameroon and Egypt, who appear to be the best decorated teams in the African Cup of Nations, shares 12 Africa Cup of Nations trophies, 7 for Egypt and 5 for the indomitable Lions of Cameroon, who are looking forward to adding their number to 6 in this ongoing tournament. It is going to be a colorful semi-finals between these two this Thursday, February 3rd at the Olembe Stadium, described by some football fans as the Clash of Titans and Continental El Clasico. The Thursday semis will be the 28th opportunity for both teams to clash. It will be in another context, in a different circumstance with a different objective, as fireworks are in the air with one of the world's best player, Mohamed Salah, on one side and Karl Toko Ekambi, Vincent Aboubakar, Fai Collins, Zamboangisa and Andre Onana on the other hand, willing to maintain the 2017 spirit. To many football lovers, it is the final before the final.
We now take you out of the country, especially in Guinea-Bissau, where the President, Umaru Sissoco Embalo, has declared that peace is gradually returning in the country after a failed coup attempt. It is important to note that this is the fourth coup since Guinea-Bissau gained its independence in 1974. We have more details with Ruth Fonyo.
Guinea-Bissau's president, Umaru Sissoco Embalo, said an attempted military coup to overthrow him had failed on Tuesday, February 1st, 2022, and called for calm across the country during a national address broadcast on Radio TV, Bantaba. In his address, he said he imagined that we would arrive to this type of situation. I never thought that Guinea-Bissau could practice another act of violence. Defense forces engaged in crossfire with the alleged perpetrators for 5 hours before averting the coup, Embalo said. He added that many members of security forces were killed in the failed attempt, but did not confirm the number of casualties. Several arrests have been made, the president said. Embalo also said that he believes the perpetrators of the coup intended to kill him and members of his cabinet who were gathered for a weekly meeting in the palace. He added that drug traffickers and corrupt agents were also involved in the very planned coup attempt. Earlier in the day, the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, called for peace in Guinea-Bissau as gunfire was heard around the government palace in the capital, Bissau. Guinea-Bissau's history has been marked by several military coups since the country gained independence from Portugal in 1974. These conflicts have ravaged the country's infrastructure and economy, leaving among the poorest in the world. The former Portuguese colony is a coastal state of around 2 million people lying south of Senegal. It has been said in 2014 the country vowed to return to constitutional government, but it has enjoyed little stability since then, and the armed forces enjoy substantial influence.
The Malian government insists on the withdrawal of the French ambassador to Mali, who was given 78 hours to leave the country. It is a very sad situation that might lead Mali from disintegrating from European partners. Ruth Fonyo in this report.
I think that I would rather like to terminate the management control. It's a process that is put in place. You've heard it already. It's a prime ministerial circular.
The trial of alleged killers of former Burkina Faso President Thomas Sankara, killed in a 1987 coup, will resume on Wednesday after the junta re-established the constitution. The trial was suspended earlier on Monday, having already been suspended for the first time by a coup a week ago. The junta having restored the constitution, the trial will resume on Wednesday, the court said in a statement. The trial, which began in October 2021, had been interrupted in the day of the coup when it was due to enter the phase of closing arguments. 12 of the 14 defendants, including General Gilbert Diendere, 61, one of the main leaders of the army during the 1987 purge, were present at this trial. The main defender, former President Blaise Compaoré, 1987 to 2014, was brought to power by his purge that cost the life of Thomas Sankara, in power since 1983, who was a progressive leader and a Pan-African icon. Blaise Compaoré was absent, his lawyers having denounced a sham trial before a court of exception, suspected of having ordered the assassination of Thomas Sankara and 12 of his companions, which he has always denied. He was ousted from power in 2014 by the street and has since lived in Côte d'Ivoire. Isolated in Bamako, Paris can count on the support of the European Union after the expulsion of its ambassador Joël Meyer, the spokesperson for the European Commission in charge of foreign affairs and security issues, condemned this expulsion of the French diplomat and called on Bamako to change its mind. The Malian government's demand for the immediate withdrawal of the French ambassador to Bamako is unjustified and will further isolate Mali from its European partners. The EU is in solidarity with France
France, but also with Denmark, which quarter had been the subject of a decision to leave. The current situation requires respect for commitment and dialogue on the part of the Malian authorities, and the negative spiral in which they have embarked can only harm the stability of Mali itself, but also of the region. Berlin also reacted, condemning an unjustified explosion. In this escalation of tensions, France has given itself 2 weeks to decide on the future of its military presence in Mali. As for Tokuba, the countries involved plan to work by mid-February to plan an adaptation of their system in Mali.
It is with that report that we draw the curtains of our 6 p.m. Prime News on Camdis Television in the English language. But before we go, a recap of our major stories. Administrative representatives of state universities in Cameroon have started attending a 2-day workshop on how to maintain good governance and better manage public funds in state universities, and innovation put in place to guide representative authorities and partners of higher education for better implementation. The semi-finals of the 2021 AFCON begins this evening with Senegal taking on Burkina Faso at the Fandena Stadium at exactly 8 p.m. Supporters and fan clubs have already mobilized to support their teams this evening. Today is being observed as World Day Consecrated Life, an act of profession of faith to be committed totally to the service of God, an act most practiced by Catholic Church faithfuls who are called upon to live a more exact way as Jesus Christ. Thanks for watching, but before we go, do not forget that at exactly 8 p.m., Burkina Faso will be taking on Senegal at the Fandena Omnisport Stadium here in Yaoundé. Have a blessed evening in the company of our programs.